Hello there folks, and welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to be looking at the rules for the Stormcast Eternals. Following on from the previous video, we looked at the background and the lore for them as part of their new Battletome and Warhammer Age of Sigmar and the new edition. We'll just have a quick flick through, not going to spend too much time on a lot of these different elements, but we'll give you a taste of how they work on the tabletop. We have the new, they break down into faction rules, so they give you the new rules for your factions. The War Scrolls, which are split between unique units and heroes, Warrior Chambers, Extremis Chambers, Vanguard Chamber, and the Ruination Chamber, with another section for endless spells and faction terrain. Alas, no Sacrosanct Chamber in here. We also have then rules for the Spearhead, which is the Vigilant Brotherhood, which was included as part of the Skaventide box set. If you want to find the rules for Indrasta's Spearhead, they are on Warcom. You also have the new rules for the Path to Glory, Armies of Renown, and Regiments of Renown as well. So Armies of Renown, different ways for you to build your own armies, and Regiments of Renown can be added to other order factions on the tabletop. So yes, flicking through, the faction rules haven't necessarily changed since the last time we saw them, when they came in faction pack rules. We have the same rules for the Celestial Realm, where you can set people up inside of it and then use Signs of the Storm to set them up on the tabletop as well, so you can deep strike effectively. You also have Heaven's Sent, which is a way for you to bring back another unit later on in the battle that has died previously. And then their Finest Hour, which is the rule that was taken over from the Order rules in the last edition of the game, and that's now back once again. You also then have the same battle formations as you would have expected from the faction packs. So you've got the Sentinels of the Bleak Citadel, which is where you pick a friendly Ruination Chamber once per turn army-wide. They have 5+ for the rest of the turn. The Thunderhead Host, which is the one that I think a lot of people are going to end up using if they don't have access to Ruination Chambers miniatures, which is the Synchronized Strikes, which is just a passive. Add 1 to hit rolls for combat attacks made by friendly Warrior Chamber units while they are wholly within 12 of any friendly non-hero, non-beast Stormcast Eternals unit that does not have the Warrior Chambers keyword. So if you put Vanguard or Ruination Chamber miniatures in the middle of your Warrior Chamber army, then they'll buff them on the tabletop, which I think is a nice way of doing things. You then have the Vanguard Wing, which is very much focused on the Vanguard chamber. So they are able to, on a 3+, remove this unit from the battlefield and set up again anywhere on the battlefield within 9 inches of all enemy units. So a rather nice little bonus there. And the Lightning Echelon, which is for the Extremis Chamber, and is a way for them to get strike first when they smash down onto the battlefield and have charged, which is a bonus there as well. So a couple of very more focused, technically 3 focused battle formations there, and then one which is a little bit more general. This is the one that I think a lot of people end up picking, but then this one is also very good because it just gives you a 5-up ward. So if you're going to try and do something that is very much Reclusian Ruination Chamber style heavy, that's the one you're going to try and pick. I was surprised there wasn't one about the dragons in here, but you kind of get that later, I suppose, as well, and we'll see. Heroic traits are just the same. So you've got Shock and Awe, Envoy of the Heavens, and Staunch Defender. Shock and Awe is an interesting one about setting up within range of them. Staunch Defender is good if you're going to try and contest a lot of home objectives, but I'm not sure how useful that is necessarily in the new edition of the game. Envoy of the Heavens feels like a good one, but it requires one of your units to die in order for it to proc, which is an interesting way to think about things. You don't necessarily want your units to die anyway, but there we go. I tend to go with Envoy of the Heavens, although I'm actually quite tempted to try Staunch Defender just to see if it gives a little bit of a bonus to holding home objectives and kind of just anchoring down with a couple of units, leaving them behind and just shooting at people from afar. Could be a good way of securing consistent victory points throughout the rest of your games. Artifacts of power are the same. So you've got the Null Pendant, which subtracts 5 from the target's control store for the rest of the turn. Cool, I guess. The Mirror Shield and the Quicksilver Draft are probably the 2 that you're potentially going to take. So the Mirror Shield cannot be targeted by shooting attacks unless the attacking model is within 9 inches of it. Pretty decent, so you can't get sniped off the board. And then the Quicksilver draft, this unit has strikes first for the rest of the turn. So that could be very, very handy if you've just been absolutely swarmed by the enemy and you want to try and get the strike off at them, which then could lead into proccing other abilities as you go. Still got exactly the same 3 spells as we had last time. So you've got Lightning Blast, Thunder Shock, and Starfall. And the same goes for prayers. Got exactly the same ones again, which is Healing Storm, Bless Weapons, and Translocation. And the Manifestation Law remains the same as well, with the Everblaze Comet, the Celestian Vortex, and the Days Arcanum, or the Dies Arcanum. Then we have all the rules. Again, not going to dwell too much on this. I might sit on a few that I think are particularly fun and interesting. So you've got the Celestant Prime there. Andrasta is back. Karazai and Krondis. Eventually I'm going to get one of these dragons. I think Karazai will probably be the one that I go for. I just really like his miniature. I think it's super cool. Badass dragon rather than lordly wizard dragon. They're always nice to have spells. Iridan the Witness, who is the new leader for your Ruination Chambers and the way you want to go if you want to try and focus on a very heavily Reclusian-styled force. I like that the Ruination Chamber ability that he has allows it to sort of like buff up, which I think is quite nice. So it's, what is it? Once per turn army reaction, this unit was picked as target of a non-core ability. Basically, can use that on a 4+ rather than a 5+, which I think is nice, quite nice. Although I think it always did a 4+. Yeah, so it's just the same rule again, pretty much, which is quite cool. You've then got Iona's Cryptborn, Neve Blacktalon and her companions there. Neve and her companions are very, very good. They're quite pricey when it comes to including them in your army, but if you can, they are super good with 3+ saves, which is just Boston, and 6 health for her, 3 for each of her companions, and 5 for Lorelei. That's also just another wizard included in your army, even if she's a Lumineth, but another bonus there. And also the shoot and or charge ability after run or retreat, which is a pretty big bonus as well. Bastion Karthlos, a great option there if you want to lead a heavy infantry focused army. Very, very good at sort of pushing out and securing objectives very, very quickly. Vandus Hammerhand there. Interestingly, not quite in the Ruination Chamber yet, but a very good character to add into the mix if you've still got the miniature laying around from first edition, which I do. Garda Steel Soul with that Aura of Purity, which is a really nice narrative touch to him walking through Nurgle's garden. So he's got the 5+ ward save, which is very good there as well. And then Taunus the Redeemed, who unfortunately doesn't get a picture in there, but a very nice new character to see brought into the fold. Then you've got your basic heroes. So you've got your Lord Celestant, again with a really nice new miniature there. Really like that one. And the Lord Celestant on Dracoth, if you want to go that route and use the miniature of Vandus for just a regular Lord Celestant. The Lord Imperatant and the Lord Relictor. Obviously got a Lord Relictor in my force because love the look of those. Basically just a big old Space Marine chaplain. And the Mortis Priest ability, giving +1 to chant rolls for the unit, is very, very handy. The Knight Arcanum, very good at dealing with your manifestations that appear on the board, and the Knight Judicator that I highlighted in the first video, also very good at just picking off enemies from range with the use of that Terminus Great Bow. Very nice abilities there. 3s across 3 attacks, 3s, rend 2 and 3 damage each as well, so that's just insanely good. The Knight Relictors, the lower version of your Lord Relictors, but a great way for you to remove ward saves from nearby units, so if you can throw those into your army, that's not necessarily a bad idea. And the Knight Vexilor, who I think is incredibly good, so has the Banner of the Reforged. Pick D3 friendly Stormcast Eternals units wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Add 3 to each target's control score for the rest of the turn, and in addition, heal D3 each target. So if you can use that in coalition or combination, I suppose, with the Relictor's Prayers, you could do some serious healing and keep your guys on the battlefield for a much longer. Night Questors, really quite enjoyed these ones. So They pick a objective wholly outside friendly territory to become their quest marked one, and this then procs a couple of their abilities. So their heroic retribution, pick a friendly quest or soulsworn unit that is not used a fight ability, they can fight immediately afterwards. So a great way to include the two together. They're a super good hero unit that we'll look at later as well. I say hero, they're not really heroes, but they feel like them. And then we also have His Will Be Done. While this unit is contesting a quest marked objective, add 3 to the unit's control score, and it has a 5+ ward save as well, alongside its 3+ save normally. So a fairly awesome way for you to dive in and secure objectives. Not a bad hero killer as well, especially with the anti-hero +1 rend and the crit mortals. Doing 2 of those every time you roll 6 is pretty freaking handy. Praetors, great option for you to include alongside your heroes. Solid way to keep your buffs up and your wards. And then your prosecutors, who are going to be super good at flying around the battlefield, securing objectives that you can't necessarily get your hands to normally because your move is quite small as Stormcast Eternals at 5 inches. So having a 12-inch move prosecutor is solidly good for controlling areas of the battlefield that you can't feel like you can get to. Stormstrike Paladors and the Chariots, not necessarily my bag, but they're still there as well. Vigilors, Liberators, Vanquishers, and Vindictors. I am a fairly big fan of Vigilors and Vindictors. So Vigilors give you the Navigators of the Storm ability, which is pretty nice. So they get 2 attacks. They get 2 shots each, which is insane. Hitting on 3, wounding on 3s, rend 1, damage 1. I mean, that's nothing to be smirked at there. But they have the ability Navigators of the Storm. If an enemy unit had any damage points allocated to it this turn by its shooting attacks, add 1 to hit rolls made by friendly Stormcast Eternals units that target that unit for the rest of the turn. So a really good way of picking a unit and looking to crush it, hitting on 2s more often than not. And then I'm also a very big fan of the Vindictors. So they have the Hold the Shield Wall ability. If this unit did not charge this turn, and is in combat with an enemy unit that charged this turn, roll a dice. It's a shame that it's a roll a dice, but there we go. On a 4+, this unit has strike first for the rest of the turn, so a solid good way of holding down an objective. And if you combine that with the passive to buff the protection of home objectives, that could be solidly good for keeping your side of the board intact. Obviously, you got your Liberators and your Vanquishers there as well for chopping up infantry and pushing on to hold friendly territory there as well. So solid options there for you on both sides. Quest or Soulsworn that I mentioned before, all of them are 3 attacks, 3s, rend 1, damage 2, all with 3+ saves and 3 health each. So a solid set of miniatures there. And the Soul Guide allows them to bamf around the table, which is very handy, especially if you're looking to control objectives in enemy territory quite quickly. Has the same stuff as the Night Questor. The Storm Coven, I know a lot of people really like because it's a good way of you getting even more spells onto the tabletop, and also they have their own ability there as well. And the Annihilators, always really nice miniatures. I have the ones with the shields, but I think I want to get some with the hammers as well, just so I've got a couple of big, chunky, elite units to drop onto the tabletop. 3 health each for both of those, and 3+ save. Solid options for you to smash your enemies to pieces. Very good indeed. Very nice if you want to go down I think their Extremis chamber. Oh no, their Warrior chamber. Yeah. The Extremis chamber, I think, is the dragons, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, it is. So yeah, Lord Celestant and the Drake Sworn Templars, the Concussors, Desolators, Fulminators, and Tempestors. The Night Draconis and the Storm Drake Guard, which you're going to be using if you want to go full-on dragon heavy, which you can do. So you've got your hero options and then your troops. You could almost just make an army basically just out of this page if you really wanted to. You wouldn't, and I don't think you'd do too badly either. Control 5 each isn't that bad. Your Vanguard chamber, just genuinely good. The Vanguard chamber ability again is just amazing. This unit can shoot and or charge even after it has used a run or retreat ability in the same turn. Super powerful for controlling objectives and getting across the board very, very quickly and hunting down particular enemies, especially with the hunted star marked ability that you see there. What I would probably do is I would have the Lord Aquilor running alongside a couple of the Paladors with their various weapons, and then have 2 big chunky units of Vanguard Hunters at about 10 each, rocking it out on the tabletop and controlling objectives and just zipping around doing all sorts of battle tactics that are potentially out of the reach of normal Stormcast Eternals units. The other thing that's really good about them is because they're Vanguard Chamber, if you include a good segment of these as part of your Warrior Chamber, as part of the army alongside the Warrior Chamber, using their faction rules, they can really buff them quite effectively, and it means that you can rush to where particular crisis points are, and then these guys can sort of buff your warrior units as they keep on fighting. So not necessarily a bad option for you there on that front. Vanguard Raptors and the Aetherwings, and then Vanguard Raptors and the Gryph-hounds there as well, just capping things off when it comes to the Vanguard Chamber, bringing some of the old units back in. Then we have the Ruination Chamber, which is the new source for this edition. You have the Lord Vigilant on the Morgriff, and obviously the Knight Azeros as well, who are back, alongside the Lord Vigilant on the Gryffstalker, which is the basic miniature from Scaventide, and the classic Lord Terminos. Great option for adding in alongside your Reclusians to give the ability to fight immediately afterwards, which is another reason why you'd want to probably take Lord Celestants to alongside your Warrior Chamber units, just to buff them as well. Then you have the Lord Veritant, who again was from Scaventide and have been upgraded. Great option for you to unbind wizard spells, even though they act as a priest. And then obviously the just core basic Reclusians, who should be really good, I think. And I think maybe people have underestimated them. So they all have crit mortals on their weapons, which is insanely good. Health 3+ save, solid. Control of 1. Move 5 inches, which is always going to hamper Stormcast Eternals, but there we go. 3 attacks each, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, rend 1, damage 2, and they have the Ruination Chamber ability to stop abilities from affecting them on a 4+, and then the Memorians are there to sort of keep you going, which is good for their resistance rolls. So it turns into a 3+, which is solid. So really nice options there for those playing as the Ruination Chamber. And I genuinely think if you wanted to make a super elite army, you could probably make one just out of Reclusians, make up a whole bunch of big reinforced units on the tabletop, have them alongside the likes of the Lord Vigilant on the Morgriff and the Lord Terminos. And I think you'd be pretty well sorted, to be honest. I mean, this, because you get the buff here, which does you the 2 fight abilities, with one of them being Strike Last. And then this one is the ability to, this is every time that the Lord Terminos fights, then your infantry units, so your Reclusians, can fight immediately afterwards, which is insanely good for chopping up units, especially with the crit mortals from their rune-based weapons. But there we go. Then we have the endless spells and stuff. So you've got your Celestian Vortex and the Days Arcanum and the Everblaze Comet. Not that I use these myself, but I know they are fairly handy. And the Stormreach Portal for bouncing around the tabletop. The Porta Potty. That's going to be the new piece of faction terrain for them. Then we have the Spearhead army that was included as part of the Scaventide box set, which is the Vigilant Brotherhood. Comes with 2 units of Liberators, the Lord Vigilant on Gryffstalker, the Lord Veritant, and the Prosecutors. Solid little force there, with the ability to, if I go to the rules, reinforce both the Prosecutors and the Liberators once again during the course of your Spearhead battle. You also get a little breakdown of how to get them battle ready, which is very handy if you want to do them in the style of the Hammers of Sigmar. Surprised that this wasn't done as part of the Hallowed Knights, as it was presented as part of Scaventide, but there we go. Hammers of Sigmar forever, the poster boys. But that's a little breakdown there, and of course you have all of your rules. These are available online as well if you want them. And then your Spearhead rules there too. Talked a little bit about Spearhead in a previous video, so make sure to go and check that out. There'll be links later. And then we have the new Path to Glory rules for the Stormcast Eternals, much like the ones that they had for the Skaven. This is unique rules for playing Path to Glory and building your own hero for use in Path to Glory, which is the narrative way of playing Age of Sigmar on the tabletop. What you'll do is you'll dive in and you will choose what level of hero you want to make. So if you want to make a Knight, Templar, or Lord, that is the cost involved, and then this is the amount of destiny points that you have to spend. Destiny points are then spent to bulk out this basic war scroll, which starts off with 4 attacks, 3 threes, 1 rend, and 2. And you start off, obviously, as a infantry hero. But as you go through, you'll then spend destiny points in order to upgrade your character. So if you want to turn them into a warrior chamber fighter, then it costs no destiny points, and it just means that they can take control of other warrior chamber units. If you want to make them a vanguard chamber character, then that means that they lose 4 destiny points by doing that. So if you're doing it at this level, that would take you down to 26 or 6 in this case. They will then get the ability of the Vanguard Chamber, and they can only lead Vanguard Chamber units as part of their regiment. If you want to go down the Extremis Chamber route, you can do that as well. So that's your dragons and stuff, and that costs you 4. And then the Ruination Chamber does 4 as well. And obviously these both proc the same abilities that you would get with those, and they can only lead their relevant chamber units. So let's say that we were making a Vanguard Chamber hero, probably the one mounted on the back of a Palador, or maybe something like that. Or maybe you wanted to use the Knight Zephos as the old Neve Black Talon model on foot. Maybe we go down that route. Yeah, let's try that one. So we'll do it as a basic foot troop. So we've gone with Vanguard Chamber there. And maybe we were going at, let's say, a Templar level. So we're down to 26. Then we go over to this one. So we pick out an origin and or a floor. So Tribal War Leader would cost us 4. So pick up to 2 friendly units hold within 12 of this unit for the rest of the turn. Add 1 to charge rolls for this unit and the target. Snatched from the Grave sounds like a good one for the Anvils of the Heldenhammer. Enemy units cannot use the rally command while they're within 18 inches of this unit. Very good for stopping the healing going through. Freshly Forged. It gets both abilities as part of the aspiring rank rather than just one of them. Very, very good. And Redeemed. So if you wanted to make someone like Taunus, pick up to 2 friendly units wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Deal 3, heal D3 this unit and each target. Solidly good at the end of every turn. Wow. That's why that one costs 4 DP. 2 DP for Freshly Forged, 2 DP Destiny points for Snatch from the Grave, and what is it? 4 for Tribal War Leader. I would say maybe Tribal War Leader would be the one that you go for. So that'd take us down by another 4 points. So we'd be down from 30 to 22. Now, would we go with a floor for this character to maybe then boost back up the Destiny points? Let's see. Can't contest objective would be quite interesting. This obviously gets you back points rather than losing them. Unvanquishable Pride, fueled by hatred. Fractured Soul. I think that one would be quite cool. Brash and Impulsive, cannot contest objectives. So basically that cancels out the spend that we've just spent on Tribal War Leader. So it puts us back up to 26 Destiny points. Now we're not going to give them a mount because we decided to go for that foot character. So we don't spend any of our DP there. Although, of course, you've got dragons. Well, you've got different levels of mount, effectively, and the way that the more you spend on them, the more you're going to get out of it. So you've got 20 DP, 10 DP, and 5 DP there across the different mounts. We don't have to do any battle mount upgrades because we're not using one of those, but they would be there if you wanted to enhance your characters a little bit more and take you in different directions. So if you're on the back of a dragon or something, maybe they're a good way to go. But any other upgrades? So we don't want to do commanding presence because we're not really going to be commanding anything or controlling anything. We do want to make them fleet of foot, so we probably spend 1 there. We don't want to. Do we make them tough? I don't think we really want to make them tough. A masterful warrior would be a really good way to increase things as well. It makes sense with the Vanguard Chamber, so we've probably spent 1 and 3, so up to 4. And then maybe pick a preferred enemy. I think if they were part of the Vanguard Chamber, they'd probably be monster hunters. That could be quite a nice little bonus to add in. So if you're character-free playing against someone who had a lot of monsters in their army, or maybe characters potentially. I don't think you can do characters. You can't do that. But let's say monsters, actually. So we'll make preferred enemy monsters. So we'll give them Rend there, which is quite cool. I don't think we want to give them a pistol or the Lancer ability. Do we want to give them relic weapons? I think that would be quite nice. We've saved quite a lot of DP, so we could probably spend that one. So we're back down to 26, and then we've just spent another 23. So it busts us down to 23. Down to 19, I think, there. That'd be quite cool. Do you want to give them a loyal companion? Oh, that could be quite fun. Give them like a little loyal Griffhound that follows them around. Oh, that would be nice. So take that down. Yeah, let's give them a loyal companion, which puts us down to, what's that, 14 points? No, 15 points. And then we've got a couple more to choose from in here. You can't double up any of these, which is interesting. Now, do we want to make a Blade Master? I think we do. So that's us down to 10. And then we're not going to go down the idea of making them a wizard or a priest, and we're not going to give them a bow. So we finished off with 10 glory points at that point. And then we dive, and then that would be our character complete, pretty much. That would be a fun little way for you to build a cool character for use in your past glory games, and see how they do. Could eventually end up being a general, maybe, in the end. That could be really cool. Although, of course, slot them in and just have fun with them and tell some interesting stories. And then, of course, much like with the Skaven one, we have a couple of new paths for you to choose from, one for heroes and one for infantry. When it comes to your heroes, you have the aspiring, elite, mighty, and legendary ranks as per normal, and these both give you a couple of abilities that you choose from each time you level up, and they change your character as you go, and the same with your units as well. And they are all themed around the idea of the Stormcast Eternals rather than just being generic ones. So add one to ruin rolls for the target's attack, or add one to the health characteristic, or if it was set up during Signs of the Storm, add one to charge rolls, or Reclaimers, when contesting objective, they get add one to hit rolls, which is pretty bonus as well. So yeah, some really nice stuff there as well. And just to cap off, a couple more extra things. So you have a couple of armies of renown. So you've got the Ruination Brotherhood, which is one led by Iridan the Witness, and the Heroes of the First Forge, which is a whole bunch of characters alongside Warrior Chamber units, and big-ass badasses like the Annihilators, which is the Heroes of the First Forge, led by Bastian Carthalos. And then a couple of regiments renowned could be added into other order forces. So you have the Horizon Seekers, who are your Vanguard Chamber, and Valnir's Stormwing, which allows you to take 2 dragons in a whole host of different armies. And that is it. You have a little bit of a rules reference at the back here, which gives you all of your key information that you need. But apart from that, that is the Stormcast Eternals Battletome pretty much covered. Hope you enjoyed that quick look through this. And let me know your thoughts. And if you have any questions, I will happily answer them down below. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And I'll be back with another video very, very soon. Really enjoying the look of the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And the next one will be back for Slaves to Darkness. Aren't that far away. We'll be talking about their Battletome in the near future. So yeah. Have a good one, folks, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Bye for now.